Hi guys, this is Radhika here again. So today I wanted to make a video on how to work with your soul contracts once you have identified them. So as I said in my previous video, which I will link somewhere here, soul contract is basically a situation or a block that you have in your life. Um, so the situation is kind of like a challenging situation which keeps on showing up in your life again and again and again, and it might be in different areas of your life, like maybe at work, in your personal life when you were young, maybe at your school or in the playground, in your family or in your extended family, somewhere like this, or even in the movies that you watch, in the books that you read, somewhere you will always find this theme reoccurring, and you will feel this way many times in your life. Like you will feel like this situation always ends up in your life, and so it later in life it kind of becomes a trigger point for you. Every time anything even gets a little bit near this situation, you get super sensitive and triggered by all the circumstances happening around you. So yeah, that's a soul contract. So the first step is identifying a soul contract, and I've given some examples in my previous video. So this video is, what do you do after you have identified a soul contract? How do you work with it? And we all have soul contracts, and that's the reason why a lot of us are here on this earth, to learn to get over it and to work with it in a better way, so that we have kind of filled in that part of our soul that was kind of missing a piece, and that piece comes from putting this puzzle together and kind of healing that soul contract. Basically, once you have identified your soul contract, you will realize that this actually it germinates from some place in your childhood, or some place, like it goes back in history a long time, in your own personal history to your childhood, and you would have recognized some situations in your childhood when you felt this way. So, what happens is, when we are a child, we don't actually know how to react to the world. We have our own reactions, which are very instinctive. But as a child, we also look at everyone around us and we learn how to react. And the people around us are very responsible for kind of molding our reaction in a particular way and giving us feedback to whatever we are doing in this world. So, what happens is, a lot of us, most of us, we have all the reactions that we have today. We feel it's we who are reacting to situations, but a lot of time, the reactions that we have actually come from our childhood. It's how people programmed us to be when we were in our childhood. And I'm not saying people know this, no one knows this. People just react because they have also not thought so much. Like our parents probably did not think about it so much, that what kind of an effect will this have on my child after my child grows up. They were just doing their own instinctive reactions. So but what happens is, we have picked it up from there and we are still reliving it today, maybe 30 years later. Like, I'm 30, so maybe after 30 years you are still reacting the way. The reactions must have changed. Like, when you were a child, you might have just, like, thrown a toy in rage or something, or if someone called you a troublemaker, you would have become more rebellious and thought, I'm going to make even more trouble. And the thing is, that behavior still continues even today. If someone criticizes you, if someone says something to you, of course you're not going to throw something at them, or you might, but maybe you have curbed down your emotions to some level now, but you still have that subconscious belief that now I have to rebel again, because I have to prove that, as a child we feel like we have to prove something in the world. We have to prove that, like, I know better. And that's how children are, and a lot of times that goes into our subconscious and we still behave the same way. So yeah, you have to reprogram your subconscious, and the great thing is that it is completely reprogrammable. It's not like for people who are in computer science, like it's RAM, RAM. It's not like hard disk where you have to, where whatever you saved it will remain on a hard disk, it remains. But in RAM, which is your short term memory, things get like flushed out. Every time you open a program, some things go into the RAM, and then you open another program, those pages which are in the RAM, they get swapped out, and these new pages come in. And when you reboot your laptop, nothing is there anymore. So it's a very dynamic reprogrammable memory. And your subconscious is like that. It's not like a hard disk. Actually it is like a hard disk, but you can, even on a hard disk, you can delete some items and you can put some new items on the hard disk. So yeah, so it's the good thing is it's programmable again, and you just have to rewrite some of the programs. So yeah, this process, it will take some time. You might have to like work on it um, diligently, and the great thing is that you can change anything. Like you must have heard about people who smoke for like 20 years and then they decide to give it up, and they give it up. Or drug addicts who have been addicted very badly to drugs, and they decide that they are going to stop it, and they do stop it because they want to. So basically whatever you want to do is possible, and you just have to keep at it, because it might not be as instantaneous as we want everything to be. But if you have the right attitude and you actually work on it, it's very much possible. So yeah, to reprogram your subconscious, you kind of first have to solve your own mystery, and that's the thing, that you have to work on it yourself because you know your history the most. But let me just give you some examples of all the points of the some of the soul contracts that I mentioned in the previous video. So the first one is not worthy enough. So this is, a lot of people feel this. Whoever has been around narcissists, they feel this because the narcissist is going to make you feel unworthy. They will take out all the positive qualities that you have and leave you with all the negative qualities, and kind of try to make this image of you which is all bad, which you know you are not. But uh, like as time passes, a lot of flying monkeys will also buy into that negative image that they are making of you. And a lot of times you will feel like you are not worthy enough. So this requires again self love, knowing yourself, understanding what you like, what you don't like, what are your own principles, and mainly focusing on yourself rather than focusing on the outside all the time. So basically you have to realize your own brilliance, like what a brilliant being you are as a human being, or just as a living entity, how brilliant it is that you exist, and what all beautiful things you bring to the table with you. You have to realize it without anyone else telling you, oh, you are a great person, you are this and you are that. You have to reach that point, not when you are self praising and boasting your ego. You just have to know it. You don't have to prove it to anyone. When people start proving it, that's ego. But when you just know it yourself, you don't have to prove it to anyone else because you know it. So that is the difference between coming from your ego and coming from your soul. When you come from your soul, it's all there. You don't have to prove it or tell it to anyone else, but you yourself will feel inner peace, inner calm, inner strength, and it will be a silent strength which will which can take you through anything basically. So yeah, so for not feeling worthy enough, you have to do that inner work and you have to get to that point. And I have some other videos which tell you how to get to that point, and a lot of it is basically going back to your childhood and realizing why you behave the way you behave today, and realizing what you were at the core before you took on all these behaviors from either society or your friends or family or other people or movies, art, etc. So yeah, so basically it's stripping away all these things which are not you and just trying to go as deep as you can to understand who you are truly. Okay, then the second one is troublemaker. So this is the belief where people feel they are troublemakers, and so they just go on living this prophecy of being a troublemaker, and they get into one trouble, then another trouble, then another trouble, like that. And a lot of narcissists are also like this. They do feel they are not worthy enough. They do feel they are a troublemaker, so they go on making trouble for other people, spreading the chaos. So yeah, so basically this can have many reasons. It depends on your situation, but a lot of it has to do with when you were a kid. If a child doesn't get attention, the child will do everything that he or she can to get attention. And a lot of times parents give children attention only when they do something bad, only when they cause some trouble, only when they break something or throw something like that. So basically this child over time gets a reputation of being a troublemaker, and the only reason the child is being a troublemaker is because the parents are not giving him or her the attention that he or she needs. So the only way the child knows to get attention is through making some trouble. So basically this becomes like the reputation of the child in the immediate family, in the extended family, and then everyone, when they discuss children, you know how people speak about children, even when the children are in front of them, as if they are not present. So they will keep on repeating this prophecy again and again. Oh, this one's a troublemaker, this one's intelligent, this one's beautiful. And because of this labeling, the children actually start becoming what they are told they are. Like for me, I was always told that I'm always the smart one, I'm always the smart one, and I did become smart. And sometimes I think that, did I just become smart because everyone used to say I'm smart? Or I mean, it's a chicken and an egg problem. And what I think is that we should be very mindful when we speak about children, especially to other people, because I would not discuss another adult in with other adults, but we do discuss children because we feel like they don't understand or something like that. But all our words are energy and they do go somewhere, so we need to be mindful of that too. um, so yeah, anyway, so if that is the reason why you are causing trouble in your life, you kind of have to go back to your childhood and understand that this is where it all started. And now I'm not a child anymore. Now I do not need the attention always, especially negative attention or any attention. I'm good in with myself. And so I'm going to stop this self-fulfilling prophecy that people have given me, that like I'm a troublemaker. The third thing is failure at everything. This is mostly for boys, sometimes for women also, who have covert narcissistic mothers, or boys who have narcissistic fathers. So basically this is because something was lacking in your parent, and whenever they got an opportunity to put someone else down, that made them feel good about themselves. And probably that's the reason why, if you were switching from one activity to another, or if you failed an exam, or basically it could be at anything. Even if you fail to boil an egg, they can like say something nasty about it. So basically you need to understand that this was their behavior, this was not who you were. They just tried to label you as a failure so that they can feel good about themselves. And basically they were lacking understanding. So you have to go back to your childhood self, and you have to kind of console your childhood self and tell that person you are not a failure. You also have to tell your current self that you are going to succeed in whatever you try, because we all are creators, we create our own destiny. So you have to change that prophecy that someone else wrote for you, that you are going to fail at everything. So basically that's one way you can deal with it. Then the next one is no one can be happy with me. So this is because if your parents were fighting and stuff, with you at the center of it when you were a child, you might feel this way. So for this, you have to realize that your parents had deeper issues, and probably even if you were not in the picture, they would have fought anyways. They just made you into an excuse for fighting. And the real problem was basically they were not getting along with each other, or they had some issues with each other. So you are not the problem for them fighting. And yeah, and basically, I'm really oversimplifying all of this because otherwise the video will be really long. But you have to kind of go into the depth of each one of this. So then, yeah, the next one is I will be left alone. So this also gets cured by self love, and realizing that whoever left you or whoever abandoned you, they had their own issues to deal with it, and it had nothing to do with you. They might have made it sound like it was with you, and that is because they were probably convincing themselves that I'm leaving because of this person. But people always leave because they have to leave. So if they are putting the blame on you, do not take that blame. Or if this is something that you have internalized by yourself, maybe they gave you some other reason for leaving, but you have taken it on yourself that they left because of me, and I will be left alone always. You really have to love your own company, because it's not a good state to be in if you always feel incomplete when you're alone, because we all are complete within ourselves. We don't need anyone else. The actual love which is not shown in movies always, I think a lot of it has to do with media and movies, because movies always show that a person is incomplete and then they find someone and then they feel complete and things like that. But that is not the correct way of loving someone. To love someone, you first have to understand yourself, and first you have to love yourself. Only then can you love someone else. Otherwise, the other person is almost like a crutch that you need. So if you are not a risk taker, and you are looking for a risk taker just because you want that aspect of adventure in your life, you have to realize if that person leaves you, you are again not going to be a risk taker. So you cannot find for completeness outside of you. You have to first feel complete inside. You have to feel whole inside of you. Like, even if tomorrow no one is near you, you have to be okay with that, because that's the bitter truth, that tomorrow maybe everyone else might go away and it'll just be you. And what then? How will you survive? So love really is not actually a two-way street. It is a one-way street. At least the divine kind of love, the kind of love which is void of attachments and which does not give you this suffering, is a love which is of a higher level. It's like just giving without expecting, because you are receiving from source. So you don't need anyone to give you anything. You have abundance. You just have to give to people. There is no Basically, there is no need for you to take, because you are already overflowing. So if you think you will be left alone, you have to practice self love. You have to practice like loving your own company. And happiness is not always what they show in movies, that a single person is always unhappy, and um, the only way you can feel happy is getting into a relationship or finding someone. That's just really selling someone a very bad thing. It's like selling someone genetically modified food. It's bad. It sets bad expectations. So yeah, single people can be happy too, and you can just be happy with yourself. You don't need anyone else. Of course, you have to find that connection with source, and then you will never feel alone again. So yeah, and also, if I'm not saying you have to be single, but You can have a family, you can find someone whom you love, and if that is what you want, then you can just hope for it, but not like not long for it. You can hope for it and be hopeful for it. You can keep like some space in your life for a relationship, for love, and just make an intention that whenever it is for my highest benefit, I wish that this space gets filled with someone whom who is who is productive for me, I am productive for that person, and together we are helping each other. So you can keep a space or an intention like that, and but at the same time you have to start loving yourself again. um, then the next one is no one understands me, I do not belong here. So, this one you really have to understand that no one can understand you, because you have lived your life and people have lived their lives, and everyone's life is very, very different. And although we are same in many aspects, there's a lot of differences intrinsic, like in this being. We all are one soul, but there are so many journeys that we have been on, that not everyone is going to relate with what you are going through, and not everyone is going to feel the same way or in the same depth that you feel about things in the world. So that's okay. You don't have to keep on explaining yourself to everyone. You know, and that much is enough. And if you feel that I do not belong here, it might be true actually, because your soul might be from a different vibration that is uh, on this earth, and that is why you feel that this is not where you are, this is not where you belong. But you need to realize you are not here forever. It's just a lifetime, and we have had many lifetimes before this, and we will have many lifetimes after this. So for this lifetime you are here. So and it's not such a bad world. If you want, you can have a lot of fun in this lifetime, you can do a lot of good in this lifetime. So yeah, you just have to kind of understand that yes, I do not belong here, and that's okay. I do not have to fit in everywhere that I go. I can just be who I am, and if people appreciate it, let them. If people don't, let them not. And people who like you will come into your life, people who don't like you will not come into your life. And just be who you truly are. You don't have to always, kill yourself trying to fit into everyone's expectation of you. Then the next one is I'm not beautiful. So this is especially for girls, and this also has a lot of do. It also has a lot to do with the way the media and everyone has brainwashed everyone into feeling you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain size, you have to present yourself in a particular way. So this is also the same thing. You have to do some inner work. You have to realize that beauty is not just skin deep. The real beauty is inside your soul, because your looks are can always change. And yeah, basically, this body that a lot of girls hate on their own bodies have given them so many opportunities. You can walk, you can talk, you can do things with your hands, and there are so many people in this world who do not have some body parts of their body working, and what a challenge that is, what a challenge they face. And we have this perfect body, or everyone's body is perfect, and at least every part of our body is working, and we should be thankful for it, we should be grateful for it, rather than always trying to change it to fit into someone else's idea of beauty. So if you actually go into the depth of it, you will realize it's not even your own idea of beauty. You probably picked it up somewhere while you were growing up, because what you heard people around you say, that you have to be a certain way. The media showed you those things, actors, actresses looked a certain way, and so you just imagined that I have to be like that to be beautiful. So yeah, this is for I am not beautiful. So basically, it's the video is getting very long because it's a very long thing to cure, and not long, but it's you have to go into the depth of each one of those, and I can't do all of them in this video, and there's a lot of other soul contracts that you might have too. So I'm just giving you some examples here, and hopefully you can go to your own story and draw from that and see what soul contracts you are seeing in your life, and hopefully work towards healing them. Yep, so that was this video. I wish you all a lot of love and a lot of light. Thanks. Bye.